Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right. We are here February 14th. This is the Boxing Source Midweek Report. We are here live. Big ups for everybody that is joining in here for this particular midweek report. We got a few topics that we're going to be jumping on here in this one, man. We want to, talk about, this whole thing back and forth in reference to the main story over the past couple of days that we've been talking about here in the boxing waves. Canelo Alvarez, of course. Folks were talking about, oh man, Canelo. Oh, we got an announcement coming up on Tuesday. Oh man, it's going to be on TVS Teka, and he's going to announce, his plans on the rest of his career and who he's going to be fighting, and that well, he's going to be leaving PBC. Oh, that's going to be the news. He's going to be leaving PBC. What? Nah, man. Nah. We pretty much had like a big old nothing burger in reference to who Canelo Alvarez is fighting next. That he was talking about on Tuesday. But there have been some rumblings about who potentially could be his next opponent. It looks like all things are leaning towards May 4th in Las Vegas. Yeah, what's going on there, Alan Toussaint? You're able to join in here live, man. We were able to check up on a few things, man. I might talk about the whole thing with Teofimo Lopez. Of course, he's still trying to be in the mix as far as like the main topic. There was a couple of things that were dropped in reference to Teofimo Lopez. A couple of stories that have been out there in reference to Teo, man, and he's not looking good out here. I would just say that he's not looking good out here, But we'll see if we can add that in or talk about that here a little bit later. But back on the joint here with the story about Canelo Alvarez, man. Of course he was on that TVS Teka. A lot of the boxing fans were anticipating seeing what he was going to talk about. Folks were saying like, maybe he's gonna announce who his next opponent's gonna be. Nah, he ain't really doing all that. Or like I said, man, maybe he's leaving PBC. Come on, man. Like if anything, that should have told folks not to follow Rick Glazer when it comes to news, especially when it comes to news in reference to Premier Boxing Champions. Like, come on, man. Like, if folks are going to Rick Glazer as a source for that type of stuff, you don't really need to be all into following boxing news like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of surprised that a number of people, that kind of keep their ears to the ground, as far as like news is concerned, actually, flew with what Rick Glazer was reporting. Like, he don't have any sources like that. He don't have any sources like that. So, where in the world are people like kind of, going that was going to be the main thing as far as like the news is concerned. Like, come on, y'all. I thought folks was better than that. I really thought folks was better than that. You know what I'm saying? But mainly the whole thing was him, kind of like talking about him, continuing his career. He says he's planning for like 5 years or 5 years more in reference to his professional career. You know what I'm saying? And that, hey, he's looking to, kind of like solidify his legacy in the sport of boxing. But this whole thing about him potentially facing Jaime Munguia, nah, that ain't it. That his opponent, could be from America. That's something that is up there. You know what I'm saying? We kind of like talked about it yesterday on War Week Boxing. He had Real Boxing with Ronnie Shields, and Coach Ronnie, of course, is the head trainer for Jermall Charlo. and he wouldn't, completely say that, his fighter is next for Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? Big ups to Thomas Hill here, man. Thomas Hill, being able to, catch me on here live with the Midweek Report. Thomas Hill, hashtag Just Boxing Talk. Salute to you there, brother Thomas Hill, for joining in live. And back to it. That Canelo said, he's looking to leaning towards facing an American fighter. Could be Jermall Charlo. Some reports that I had, received like months ago that Jermall Charlo would have been in the lead. We had to see what was going to happen with him against Jose Benavidez Jr. You know what I'm saying? But remember, Jermall Charlo was supposed to be Canelo's opponent last September, but you had the whole court thing going on and whatnot. So that's why you ended up having Jermall Charlo be the opponent for Canelo Alvarez on September. So, maybe he still has that agreement that he's going to face Jermall Charlo, you know what I'm saying? And that would kind of like be the next thing up. But, we got to see how things kind of, materialize with all of that and everything. So, we do have that. But also, I got a great guest coming on here to join on with the Midweek Report to talk about, what's going on there with Canelo Alvarez, man. It's the Boxing Academic joining us, man. What's going on, Boxing Academic?
Not much. How you doing today, JR?
Oh, good right here, man. In this Midweek Report, just catching up on the news. A lot of people talking about Canelo Alvarez and that he, some people thought that he was going to face Jaime Munguia. I'm like, where in the world would that come from? There hadn't been any, real sources like saying that he would lean towards facing Jaime Munguia. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
Maybe they heard us prophesizing it. They got it from us.
Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, like I said, I mean, I kind of talked with Coach Ronnie Shields yesterday. Of course, Ronnie Shields trains Jermall Charlo. So he's saying that, maybe Jermall Charlo is an opponent, but he hasn't really gotten a call that, solidified his fighter as the, opponent that would be next for Canelo Alvarez. Shout out to Thomas Hill. He says, I hope we lead by American. He means someone not born in America, and thus not ruling out David Benavidez. Well, David Benavidez, is like, of course, called the Mexican Monster. But he was born in Phoenix. But I mean, some people think Phoenix is kind of like Mexico anyway. But yeah, he's born in Phoenix. So I mean, still that could be a potential opponent. But my thing is I'm leaning towards Jermall Charlo. I kind of like said that May 4th is the date because they've pretty much like locked down May 4th as a date for Canelo's next fight. You know what I'm saying? He said, maybe if not David, but a healthy Charlo would be good, but not what should be next. There's also David Morrell Jr. It ain't gonna be David Morrell Jr. David Morrell Jr. is also, trained by Coach Ronnie Shields, and he says no, it's not David Morrell Jr. So if anything, he would have known if it would have been either Jermall Charlo or David Morrell Jr. I'm leaning towards Jermall Charlo in this. There is the wild card that some people may think that Canelo's next opponent could be Terrence Bud Crawford. That would be a big surprise. That would be a huge surprise, particularly if it comes off like this quick. But I haven't really like seen anything that kind of hints that would be the case. I mean, yeah, you see, Bud Crawford, training over at, his gym or having some, work, doing some work over at Top Rank Gym in Las Vegas. But I really don't see where the route is for him to kind of like be the next opponent. Now, some have said that it might be in September that, he could fight Canelo Alvarez, but May, I really don't think so. I don't think it's something where it would be that big or that huge of an event there right off the bat. So, that's why I said it's leaning towards Jermall Charlo. And, at right now, Jermall is, in on vacation. I think it's over at like Turks and Caicos, something like that. But he also, dropped a video here earlier today where he said like he hasn't really heard anything yet as far as like, him being the next opponent. Now he shared a IG story saying that, oh, it's May 4th, but he hasn't like really gotten anything that's definitive yet. You know what I'm saying? So that, that's what we got, man. It said, Thomas Hill says he don't want to see that, but not sure that is indeed the move. I mean, the sanctioning bodies need to, strip the belts if that happens. They haven't stripped it yet. They haven't stripped them yet. IBF hasn't sorted itself out. Of course, WBC ain't said nothing. They talk about this whole thing with David Benavidez, but they haven't really said nothing. WBA hasn't said anything either. So, as far as I know, I don't see any of these sanctioning bodies really making any moves to, strip the belts from Canelo Alvarez. And as far as I know, the WBC ain't really updated anything yet. So I'm saying like it's just more about them just saying, hey, we got Canelo holding all the belts since he's the name. We want to keep him having those belts. So that's kind of like what it is there, man. But that's what I initially got there as far as that, man. Academic, what do you think about Canelo's potential moves for May and September? Do you think like Charlo or maybe Crawford is are viable opponents there for Canelo Alvarez, or do you think like Benavidez should get a shot?
Should and would and could, all them words that rhyme with each other. It ain't gonna happen with Benavidez. We all kind of know that. Terrence Crawford, I think that would be interesting just because, the storyline behind Terrence Crawford, exceptional fighter, Canelo, bigger fighter. So people are gonna obviously have the Jermall Crawford win in mind when they think about Canelo fighting a smaller fighter. But then people also gonna have everything that Terrence Crawford has done, in every fight pretty much separate itself from people. So it'd be interesting from that respect, but obviously the fight people want to see is David Benavidez and Jermall. I don't know. Obviously, people got a bad taste in their mouth with his brother.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with him. He came out and a long layoff, did what he was supposed to do. And his brother just, didn't want to get knocked out. And I guess I get it. Him getting knocked on his, laid out would probably mess up his appeal even worse than what I ain't gonna say his appeal, his that aura that people have. He ain't got like no killer aura, but it would mess up the aura even more than what has happened now. Because he sort of has that cowardly lion aura now, but it probably would have been worse had he got knocked out though.
Well, maybe it would have got worse for him if he got knocked out or stopped. But in some cases, maybe but the thing was with him is that he didn't really, have much of an effort that, most people would have expected from, someone like him, coming off of his previous fight, against Brian Castano, where he was able to, get a stoppage victory and had a good performance in that particular fight. But then, coming off that and then, have this where he just ends up, not really engaging all too much, gets
surviving
knocked on, one knee, and basically surviving in the rest of the fight, So, at least here in this instance, maybe Jermall Charlo, if he does get this fight against Canelo Alvarez on May 4th, that, he'll, have or give the most effort there. And if he's like, in trouble, at least he'll, try to do what he can in order to try to get back in the fight, or, have it to where, that he gave it his all in this fight. Like we often bring up the whole thing with, Deontay Wilder in his third fight with Tyson Fury. Like, even with him getting knocked down multiple times, he was still trying up till the very end. He was still throwing, big punches in the 10th round before, end up getting stopped in the 11th. So, that's what, a lot of fight fans want to see with fighters, is that they want to see if they actually made an effort to try to win a fight, regardless of what would happen. So, that's the thing there. Are they going to be able to get that with Jermall Charlo, if that's going to be the potential opponent there for Canelo Alvarez on May 4th? So definitely looking forward to that.
On the front end, I would say yes. However, I think they're both talented individuals. I think they're both super athletes, right? Like in that upper echelon of athletes, they are probably ain't the best athlete, but they are in that upper echelon of athletes. But something that you see with them, I would say both of them, in a sense, is sort of like mental weakness. And so I question if he gets, in a position to where he got to bite down. I think he will bite down on, on the first wave. But when shit get hard and it's just like Tim Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov, like bite down, I question from his history, and maybe I got his brother in mind. I don't know. Maybe that's the curse of having a twin. But I question though if he'll be able to bite down like that. If he'll bite down and do what he need, or will he do what his brother did and back off and survive? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get they're two separate people, but I question with just like I'm not trying to be funny when I say it, but you can tell when people like battle stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mentally.
Yeah.
And like Deontay Wilder ain't the like. He may fumble his words, he may this, but one thing you don't question from him is his ability to like try. Now, is he sleeping on silk sheets nowadays? Yes. Is he probably questioning, should he be getting hit in the face? Yes. And that's a good question, because hell, he got a dent in his head. Them fights with Tyson Fury took a lot out of him. He's accomplished a lot. I hope Tyson Fury, I'm gonna get off this tangent, but I hope Tyson Fury win, and then Tyson Fury get him one more match because he cheated and stuff. And I hope it give him one more match. Deontay Wilder, I know I keep saying this. I'm putting it into the ethos. And then Deontay Wilder fight him one last time.
Speak it, believe it, receive it.
I'm trying to tell you, Deontay Wilder fight him one last time and flip him and catch him. And Jack Reese ain't gonna be the referee. Ain't that the referee? He just don't be the referee. Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is more compromised to himself. He ain't the same person that can just undertake or get up like he used to.
Yeah. So
I hope that happens. But back to the lines, I just question though, if stuff get hard, will he survive? Like I know he'll do it when stuff just starting to get hard a little bit, but when it get real hard, well, like you really gotta like question. You gotta question yourself. It ain't like Spence. Even though Spence was getting his ass whooped the whole round, he still was trying. He's a resilient motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? He was beaten from pillar to post. Wasn't shit going right from him. He wasn't. It's very unlikely he was gonna get back in the fight if they didn't stop the fight. But he still kept trying. I question though if that'll happen with Jermall and with Jermall, excuse me. Yeah. And unfortunately, his brother has probably tainted that. But I question it with both of them, because both of them, have things going on mentally. But not saying anything wrong with having stuff going on mentally. I'm just saying the boxing teach you about yourself.
Like in the past with that, the thing with Jermall Charlo is, I mean, at least with this one, he's not going into this fight with any loss or anything like that. Like, he didn't really have any setbacks going into this. As far as like in the ring, like I said, I've talked with his coach, And his coaches said, like, he's, been working out very well in the gym before, he stepped out for his recent vacation that he, just, was out there. Like I said, a couple of hours ago, he was able to post on social media. But now it's like if you're going to be in this particular bout against Canelo Alvarez, they're pretty much started their career, at the same weight class, around 154 pounds, and went up. But the thing about it is that Jermall Charlo like used to being at this weight at 168 pounds or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Thomas Hill, man. In that, how is he going to be able to react to his what Canelo does? Now, for me, in my view, like I've said this years ago and over the years, even though Jermall Charlo has pretty much been the more accomplished fighter up to this point, of course, being the undisputed champion at 154 pounds, I felt like Jermall Charlo was the more complete fighter between the two. I thought that he has like the better jab, the better like overall like being able to control the pace of the fight or the pace of like any fight that he's been in. I felt like Jermall is the better guy in reference to that. So I'm looking to see like how he's going to react to if he does secure this bout against Canelo Alvarez. How is he going to approach Canelo in this sense? Because he's more of a patient type of fighter that will, try to build off of his jab and be consistent with the jab. That's the thing for me when I watch what would happen against Canelo Alvarez is, are people going to be patient with their jab and be able to control distance and be able to control, the pace of the fight, be the effective aggressor, as a lot of people say when it comes to the sport of boxing. And if something comes right back to him, how is he going to react to that? That was my thing. It's one thing to have someone like Jermall Charlo that had his last fight at 154 pounds and was coming up to 168, and trying to go up against a guy that's been used to being around 160 or 168. But Jermall Charlo is the bigger Charlo basically, and might be more used to having that type of, or going up against that type of fighters as far as like their overall size is concerned. So that's the one thing I would like to see, how Jermall Charlo would be able to react to that. So if it does get secure, we'll pretty much like find out, I guess, within the next couple of weeks. We're right now at middle of February, so probably by the end of this month, or maybe the beginning of next month, we'll have a greater idea of if that will basically be official. But on the flip side, though, you also have, like I said, maybe he, Canelo could, have that fight against Jermall Charlo first, and then a fight against Terrence Crawford. I mean, maybe we'll see how that would go, man. I would say, let's see. It said like Alan had a question there. Would Bud be able to resist the challenge though? No, Alan, what do you mean by that question? Are you saying like if it was proposed to him? I don't think Crawford would turn down like any challenge like that.
Because he said he wanted to fight.
Yeah,
he called Canelo out.
To me, it's almost like back when Roy Jones Jr. came from like super middleweight to go up to heavyweight and fight for the heavyweight title. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how I view it. If Terrence Crawford like went up to face Canelo Alvarez, the only difference is like at the time we knew that John Ruiz was not the top heavyweight. we knew that. You had Lennox Lewis out there, you had Evander Holyfield out there, you still had Mike Tyson competing. So going after John Ruiz was like, okay, yeah, he's a world champion, but he's definitely not the best heavyweight. Here in this case, it would of course be clearly the number one super middleweight, although some people kind of say that David Benavidez is still out there. But you
Who
still
would
have
be?
who? David Benavidez,
You said who would be the number one middleweight?
super
Super middleweight?
middleweight, super
Who would be?
middleweight. Canelo.
By
You know,
by by just accolades, not by like
like
fighting.
saying, okay, I beat like everybody out there in the super middleweight division. Like, yeah, I mean, you got wins over Caleb Plant and Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders and that type of thing. And but outside of that, like, who else do you have? Gennady Golovkin, um, John Ryder, you know. Uh, so, I mean, it's not like the super middleweight division. His resume as super middleweight is top of the line like that. Not necessarily.
So you're
But
saying even if he does beat Canelo, he'll have the on paper win, but he ain't beat the number one super middleweight
I mean, no, I'm saying he'll beat the number one super middleweight. It's
on
just that
paper, but not the best guy at super middleweight.
you got the guy that's established there at super middleweight, that's been there, that hasn't lost in the ring in David Benavidez. Like, is something when you say, okay, hey, you're facing Canelo Alvarez, but here's David Benavidez right here. That's why, like, a lot of people are saying, like, Canelo should fight David Benavidez because, like, Benavidez is the established super middleweight that's not lost a fight, that's not lost to anybody. And if you want to say, okay, you want to prove or have established something here as far as like a legacy at super middleweight, fight David Benavidez. So, like, it would be different. Like, say, for example, if Crawford face Canelo in comparison to Crawford saying, "Hey, I'll fight David Benavidez." Like, how would that be? You know what I'm saying? If Terrence Crawford went up to 168 and fought David Benavidez, that, like, a guy that not only has been established there at 168, but some people feel like he's been cutting down to 168 from being like 200 pounds or something like that. I don't know, but it's like that David Benavidez is a guy that has to come down considerably to 168 or make that 168 limit in comparison to like a Canelo Alvarez who was there at 168 and went up to 175, had a couple fights at 175, and you've seen the comparison for fighting Sergey Kovalev to Dmitry Bivol. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, to answer your question, what you would say is if Terrence Crawford fought Benavidez, you could confidently say that Terrence Crawford is the best guy up there if he beat Benavidez.
If
But
he
we all
beat,
know that won't happen.
mm-hmm.
Like, he ain't fighting. It's too much weight, too much risk, not enough reward. Like you said with John Ruiz and Roy Jones, it's a lot of upside. Like, he should be favored to beat Canelo in a similar fashion how Floyd beat Canelo. Just stay away from him. Land your punches, throw some big shots, walk him into them, and just keep him away from him and just throw more punches. And that's how you win. Don't let him, get them shots off, and you should beat him in a boxing match. Now, if he go in there and knock Canelo out, which I don't think gonna happen. I mean, it could happen, but I don't think it'll happen. Now, that's a different thing. That would be a totally different storyline. If he go in there and knock Canelo out, that would be a different storyline.
Yeah, be a whole different story. Shout out to Alex to say, man. Yeah, I did mention Golovkin. Like, come on, man. Golovkin in super middleweight division against Canelo Alvarez. Come on. We all know that's the only fight that Golovkin had at 168 pounds in his entire career. And it was against Canelo Alvarez in the third fight that, I don't know if that many people really wanted to see that third fight between Canelo and Golovkin, man. Like, come on, man. Come on. I know you love Golovkin, but I'm straight up with this, man. You know I am. Man. Hey, Thomas Sell, man, he says, hey, the bodies need to line that fight up or take the belts. Hey, yeah, man, I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel you. It's he's like, yeah, that one hurt. Yeah, I'm certain. Yeah, I know it did for you, man. But yeah, that ended up. It looks like the last fight of Gennady Golovkin's career, man. We ain't heard from him since. We ain't heard from him since, man. It looks like he's kind of like chilling and whatnot. So looks like that's his his last fight there, man. But yeah, I'm looking to see what's going on with Canelo, and we still have to see how they're gonna set these things up, because if he's gonna be featured on Amazon Prime pay-per-view in the US, they're waiting to make the most out of the whatever the announcement's going to be there for Canelo, because right now they're kind of like focused on what's going to be coming up here on March 30th with Keith Thurman and Tim Tszyu, and completing that card, and then after that moving forward to see what other bouts will be featured on PBC on Prime. So we'll see how that goes with that. So that's mainly what I had for that particular topic, man. I know that a lot of people are like saying, oh, maybe he'll have that fight coming up against Jaime Munguia. After that Munguia fight, they're really pressing for Canelo, and I'm like, come on, y'all really don't have what Canelo's. I don't think they have what Canelo's looking for in order to have a fight between him and Jaime Munguia, for one. And then after that, like, what would Canelo do afterwards? They can't set up something where they would have multiple fights for him down the line. That's why even with Canelo saying that he wants to fight another 5 more years, I don't see like where he could fit into like have those opponents for 5 more years, like 10 fights, up to 10 fights.
I mean, he would just fight the older people. He would fight older people.
He fight older people, but yeah, they have to figure out who they would line up to kind of like have him fighting. If he beats him, he beats him. You know what I mean? But that that's what I had on that topic. You got what's coming up here on the boxing scene. You got fights on ESPN. You got even ProBox TV will have a Friday card on YouTube. Not usually a Wednesday card, because I guess they didn't want to do something on February 14th. So they said they will do something on the 16th. And so you got, of course, Shockey Foster facing Abraham Nova. That's going to be on ESPN. That's New York City. So that's going to be a good little scrap there, where Shockey Foster is going to defend his WBC belt at 130 pounds there. And you're also going to have Bruce Carrington in a 10-round bout against Bernard Torres. So Bruce Carrington is going to be part of that ESPN card. You're also going to have a super featherweight bout between Brian Savalier and Andres Cortez. That will be the ESPN portion. ESPN Plus will have Tiger Johnson being featured on the card. Guido Vianello, the heavyweight, that's going to be featured on the card on ESPN Plus. And you'll have a few guys there that are undefeated that will be on ESPN. And like I said, the ProBox card in Plant City, you're going to have Israel Picasso versus Ramon Cardenas, and Joshawn James versus Vaughn Alexander. I tried to secure an interview with Joshawn James there before he was going to be going over to Plant City for his fight, but wasn't able to lock that down. So though that maybe y'all see if I could catch up with them after that fight. Think you had something that I think Alan was on here or like early. He said like if we wanted to talk about Teofimo Lopez there, man. But before that, I mean, I got the Boxing Academic, man. We're like a few days. It's been about a week since that fight between I think he had dropped off. Because I was gonna see if he had thoughts about Teofimo Lopez there in his fight against Jermaine Ortiz and how that turned out. Okay, I think he's back on here with us. Yeah, I think he had got cut off and then came back on. That Box Academic still with us, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah, for sure. Like I didn't get your assessment about Teofimo Lopez and Jermaine Ortiz there before I go into what was the fallout from that fight.
So it's very evident Teofimo Lopez fights up or down to his competition. Teofimo Lopez has a lot of talent, but the game plan to beat him, outside of being more quicker, being able to throw more shots and to land shots and to have better timing, if you ain't that guy who's more athletic and who's more like skillful mentally boxing than him, then the way you beat him is by making him follow you and walking him into shots. Even if you are that guy, making him follow you and walking him into shots, because literally the only thing he do is plod right behind you, have his hands down and tapping his gloves, like he trying to do something and posturing and stuff. I mean, the the game plan is out on him. That's how you beat him. You make him follow you, and then you walk him into shots, and then just like at least early, because that's when he does his best work early. Don't like do that engaging with him early.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can like make him follow you, I think you can win that. But he fight up or down to his competition. I mean, this doesn't tell me anything that I didn't already know about him. I would question his mental toughness too. In terms of he got some demons up there, man. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we as the boxing public see people's see the character of people. I mean, it wouldn't be no different if you or I were up there. People would see our character, and we can say what we would do. But I mean, boxing show you your character, and I mean that's the point of it, that we get the opportunity to examine you and say, what could be improved. And I'm not saying it's an indictment on him, but I'm just simply saying that there's some stuff going on. And if he does face a fighter that is just as fast and cerebral and got all the talent in the world with throwing their hands, and then they making him follow him, I could see him saying some shit like no mas. You know what I'm saying? I could see him quitting, like just being like I don't want to do it no more type of shit.
Right.
Like I
Like
could
if
literally
they,
see him doing that.
like I mean, if you had because what we've seen this was kind of like a similar fight that he had against Sandor Martin, and Sandor Martin was actually able to score a knockdown on Teofimo Lopez there, and it ended up being a split decision that was in Teofimo Lopez's favor, but he some people really felt like he lost that fight. And there were some people that felt like he lost his fight against Jermaine Ortiz. That Jermaine Ortiz had a game plan, stuck to a game plan, and made Teofimo just look like one dimensional, or like he really couldn't learn how to cut off the ring, which is why I kind of like broke that down. I think like he couldn't cut off the ring. He wasn't consistent with the jab either when he was coming forward too. So it's like if you're facing a guy that isn't like around your size, because Jermaine Ortiz was pretty much like the same height, had the same reach, or whatever it is. Like if Teo went up against someone like a Devin Haney and fought like that, that would probably be a long night for Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, I would definitely favor.
Like you said, you probably could have a circumstance where maybe Teofimo Lopez would get too frustrated and end up, just saying no mas or whatever it is against a Devin Haney, because Devin Haney is, a very athletic fighter that is very smart in the ring and can use a, very consistent jab in a sense. So, that's something there that we got to watch out for.
And one thing you got to say about Devin raised his level to whoever he fighting. And yeah, to an extent, he does get plagued by lowering his level, but he lower his level down to a floor. There's a certain floor that he don't go below. Like his lowest level is still better than your level, type of thing.
Right.
And he raises his level. Him and Shakur would definitely beat Teofimo. This is already stuff I knew. I didn't like this fight didn't tell me anything that I didn't know about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he and the only wild card is the styles of the fight, which obviously I would look at it, but when he's motivated, he is a dangerous fighter. So it would be interesting to see him motivated, see other people talking mess to him. But Jermaine Ortiz and him was talking mess. And he had the right game plan. And Devin and them is smart enough to where they would implement that game plan. They would see that's what he struggled with, and they would walk him into shots. Devin would throw hard shots, but he would make him follow him, and then he would walk him into shots. He would use the same like Andre Ward kind of game plan. Shakur would probably use that for that matter of fact too. He would probably use the same thing because that's how you beat this guy. He got all the talent in the world, but there are some things about him that makes him beatable if you have the skills to implement it,
Mm-hmm.
and if you had a name in a sense, because Jermaine Ortiz, you can't argue that he did win the fight, but Teofimo winning means more for the sport than Jermaine Ortiz winning. And the fight was close enough to where you could, arguably give him the fight.
It's like you say, okay, you would give the fight to Jermaine Ortiz, but then what? Like you would end up having a rematch, against Teofimo Lopez, maybe. But like here, with Teo winning, then you probably could set up, some big matchups down the line there for 140 pounds. But as of right now, we got a lot of these other fighters at 140 occupied. You got Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. You got Rolly Romero versus Isaac Cruz. You got the IBF champ Subriel Matias that just signed with Matchroom Boxing and won't have a fight until July most likely. So now it's like, okay, Teofimo has his bout. Now is he going to have another one of those waiting games where it will be a while before his next fight, actually takes place? Like last year, he had the win over, what it was against Josh Taylor, right? And, outside of that, what else was out there for him, after that, that was like in June, and he hasn't had a fight until, last week. So I really be interested to see what would be potentially next there for Teofimo Lopez. I know that there's been a lot of talk about, what's been happening around this fight. You had the thing with Keyshawn Davis, who was on the card, was able to do, very well against Jose Pedraza, did call out Teofimo Lopez going off of what, they were talking about earlier in the week. But also, they had the whole little backstory, with Keyshawn, Shakur Stevenson, and Teofimo Lopez, where they had a little thing with a sparring session that got like out of hand, and that Teo's dad got involved and ended up getting in a little altercation. So they have a definite backstory. So like with Keyshawn Davis kind of like calling out Teofimo Lopez, that's one thing that kind of like seemed like it was out of the blue initially, but given the backstory, now I kind of like understand it, but I just don't feel like Keyshawn Davis at this point of his professional career would like jump right up and fight someone like Teofimo Lopez at 140 pounds. Now on the flip side with Shakur Stevenson, I could see him going up to 140 and challenging Teofimo Lopez. Now, I don't think it'll, be this later this year, because Shakur Stevenson claims that he'll be back in June, and I don't think it's going to be against Teofimo Lopez. But I could see, those two guys fighting later on in the year if Shakur Stevenson doesn't have anything or isn't really inclined to face maybe Emmanuel Navarrete for unification at 135. Like you could have a fight against Teofimo Lopez at 140. maybe try to, set something like that up. So I feel like, those two guys, as far as like potential opponents for Teofimo Lopez, I guess it wouldn't be out of the question, given that all of them are currently working under top rank. So we could see that here later on down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's his name? Who was talking mess to him and was like, "Why'd you say that about me?" What? Keyshawn. I didn't watch the fight with Pedraza, so let me preface what I'm saying. That I need to go and watch the fight because the Pedraza fight would at least tell me more information about Keyshawn. But knowing what I know about Keyshawn, which is not a lot, and I don't know the new information of him fighting Pedraza because Pedraza done fought enough people to where I can see how Pedraza did against other people. Pedraza's getting older now, so there's that in there too. But at least that'll give us a metric that that'll let us know where Keyshawn is. But I would tend to favor what's his name? I would tend to favor Teofimo, not seeing the Pedraza fight. Now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can tell me what the result was because I don't know what the result was and how he won.
Oh well, you had, of course, Keyshawn. He was able to score a stoppage victory, on that. My thing about it is that you have Keyshawn. Like I expected what I saw there against Jose Pedraza. The one thing that I kind of like notices, I mean, you now have him in a full camp. Brian Bomac McIntyre is back full time there in the camp B&B or going over to Norfolk, whatever it is there with Keyshawn and them. So you're gonna have Bomac, you're gonna have Red Spikes, and you're gonna have Esau Dieguez, I think it is, there with that full camp over in Omaha, Nebraska. So with that being said, you got Keyshawn Davis now being, very confident in, what he's able to do in his skills and things like that. For me, I still need to see if he could put a little bit more together, mix more together as far as like throwing more shots, putting a little bit power behind it and that type of thing to, really say that, okay, he's really, one of those guys that's a contender out there in the currently the lightweight division. But if he really wants to have that challenge with Teofimo Lopez there, then I would like to see how I'll be able to react to that. What's going on, man? My guy Maurice Jones there of Four Corners Boxing is here with us right now, man. Peace and blessings to you, man. Man, I need that link. I want folks to see if they'll be able to go over to Four Corners Boxing for what they have. Of course, they have their show each week. Usually it's scheduled for, I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern time. There with Four Corners Boxing. So folks that are able to listen here live for the midweek report, y'all will be able to go over to Four Corners Boxing for their weekly episodes of 15 rounds of boxing. So they'll be able to catch that. So once we once they get that link up and going, y'all be able to go over to Four Corners Boxing, their YouTube channel, and watch them for 15 rounds of boxing. But yeah, back on the thing with the the discussion there with Tio and potentially facing like Shakur Stevenson. I mean, hey, you had Shakur Stevenson. He initially was looking towards fighting Devin Haney, couldn't really secure that fight. Was able to get in a fight there against Edwin De Los Santos or whatnot, and we saw how that fight went. And now he was looking, kind of discouraged because he kind of seen a little bit of a play going on, where, Lomachenko was able to maneuver for a world title or fight for a vacant world title. And now he sees that, you could potentially have Emmanuel Navarrete fighting for another vacant world title there at 135. And, he's kind of like feeling like, oh, maybe they'll have those two guys face each other. So that's why he was talking about, oh man, I'm retiring this and that or whatever. But maybe they kind of like said, hey, we got this here for you. We got this little plan. So if you have this particular fight next coming up, then you probably get inside track to fight in a unification bout right after that. So hopefully he's kind of like been a little bit what I guess satisfied as far as like the plan is for Top Rank. But at least it looked like he initially didn't have good words as far as like what he could potentially do, there at 135 pounds. So we'll see how that goes on that. You know, I mean that's mainly what I had. We got, like I said, we got action on Friday. There's a world title fight that's over in Mexico on Friday as well. Jojo Diaz is supposed to be fighting tomorrow. That's the Golden Boy card on the zone tomorrow. And like I said, you got Oshaki Foster going up against Abraham Nova, defending the WBC super featherweight title over in New York City on Friday night. Should be planning to be there in attendance for that. And I think what was, oh yeah, that's right. Bruce Carrington is also going to be on that card in New York City. That's going to be on ESPN. So you're going to see Bruce Carrington on ESPN. You're going to have another super featherweight bout there on ESPN. Brian Savalier versus Andres Cortez. And that Oshaki Foster, Abraham Nova is the main event. And then, at around the same time, you're going to pretty much have the ProBox TV fight card that's going to be on YouTube as well. So fight fans will be able to, get that going. Yeah, man. I'll see if, once I get the word in, once I get in the area there, Maurice Jones, I'll let you know. And, by the time I get around there, get settled in or whatnot, then, we'll link up before I'll be able to go into the fight. So you do have that. But that's, pretty much what I have. Like I said, I don't necessarily have, it should be like episode 31 for the 15 rounds for Four Corners Boxing. That should be coming up here. So, those that are listening live, y'all be able to, check that out right after this is done. But also, just check out the Boxing Source here. We're gonna be having our show, the Boxing Source podcast, on Sunday. That should be live. So we do have that. Like I said, I mean, you got all of this action here. That's Thursday and Friday, because Saturday was supposed to be the day that we were supposed to have Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, but well, that's all null and void. It's been delayed to May 18th. So we gotta wait for that. Also, if y'all missed it live, we also have the Real Boxing with Ronnie Shields. That's at that War Week Boxing YouTube channel. I was part of that, so you'll be able to see Fact or Fiction with Coach Ronnie Shields. They're on the War Week Boxing YouTube channel, so y'all be able to check that out as well. But that's pretty much what I got here on the Midweek Report this time around, February 14th, 2024. And like I said, I'll be back at it with the Boxing Source podcast on Sunday. So I'll be able to see y'all then. And y'all be sure to check out the channel in social media. There, of course, we're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'll have as much coverage as we possibly can for that fight card that is on Friday at the Hulu Theater or theater at Madison Square Garden. So y'all be sure to follow us up for that. So I'll be able to have everything I need in reference to that and whatnot. So yeah. Oh snap. All right. So yeah, I don't know, man. Boxing Academy. We'll see, man. We'll see. Just let me know, and we'll see how I'll be able to work that. You know what I mean? But until then, man, I'll be able to catch y'all later. And like I said, man, y'all be sure to try to link up with Maurice Jones and Four Corners Boxing. Here that's scheduled. I think it's around like 15-20 minutes. So y'all be sure to check that out. And for those that have missed this thing live, y'all be able to catch the replay, and be sure to hit the like button to support the Boxing Source here We really appreciate it. And with that being said, I'm out. Peace, y'all.